When I woke up after a 9-hour spine surgery, my phone showed 73 missed calls. I thought someone had died. Then I played my dad's voicemail. His first words made my blood run cold. "We sold your condo to pay for your sister's wedding. You were unconscious, so we signed the paperwork for you. My condo, my life savings,
Gone.
$425,000 stolen while I couldn't even open my eyes. My sister's wedding was only 3 weeks away. Everyone expected me to forgive my family. Instead, before I could even stand without help, I made one phone call that changed every one of their lives forever. When I woke up after a 9-hour spine surgery, my phone showed 73 missed calls. I thought someone had died. Then I played my dad's voicemail. His first words made my blood run cold. "We sold your condo to pay for your sister's wedding. You were unconscious, so we signed the paperwork for you. My condo, my life savings,
Gone.
$425,000 stolen while I couldn't even open my eyes. My sister's wedding was only 3 weeks away. Everyone expected me to forgive my family. Instead, before I could even stand without help, I made one phone call that changed every one of their lives forever. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 34 years old, and until that morning, I believed my parents would always protect me. Instead, they chose my younger sister over me one final time. The surgery had taken almost 9 hours. Years of worsening spinal damage had finally reached the point where walking without constant pain had become impossible. The doctors told me recovery would be slow, but successful. I expected to wake up worried about learning to walk again. I never expected to wake up homeless. A nurse noticed I was staring at my phone. "Everything okay?" she asked gently. I couldn't answer. My hands were shaking so badly that I replayed the voicemail 3 times just to convince myself I'd heard it correctly. My father sounded completely calm. "Your sister only gets married once, sweetheart. We knew you'd understand. We couldn't wait because the venue needed payment today." Understand? I looked around the recovery room, trying to convince myself I was still under anesthesia. This had to be a hallucination. A paid-off condo couldn't simply disappear. Not without me. Not while I was unconscious. The nurse quietly stepped outside after seeing the panic on my face. I immediately called Dad. He answered on the second ring. "Oh, good. You're awake." "Dad." My voice cracked. "Tell me that voicemail wasn't real." It was real. No hesitation. No apology. We didn't have another choice. "You sold my condo?" "We sold the property, yes." "My property." Emily, calm down. Family comes first. I couldn't believe how casually he said it. "That condo was everything I had. You'll buy another one someday. I spent 12 years paying for that place. And your sister only gets married once." There it was. The sentence I'd heard my entire life. Every birthday. Every holiday. Every sacrifice. Whenever my sister wanted something, I was expected to give it. "You forged my signature?" "We handled the paperwork." "You mean you signed my name?" Silence. Then he sighed. "You were under anesthesia. You would have said yes anyway."
No.
"I wouldn't." "Don't make this ugly, Emily. The invitations are already sent. Deposits are paid. Everyone's counting on you to support your sister." Support her? I'd apparently financed her entire dream wedding without even knowing it. I ended the call before I said something I'd regret. For several minutes, I simply stared at the hospital ceiling. Then something occurred to me. Buying and selling property wasn't like borrowing someone's car. There had to be identification. Witnesses. Legal documents. Someone had approved this. Either my father was lying, or someone had helped him. I pressed the nurse call button. When she returned, I forced myself to stay calm. "I need one favor." "Of course." "I need the hospital administrator." She looked concerned. "Is something wrong?" "Yes." I swallowed hard. "I need every visitor record, every security log, and every surveillance record from yesterday." She hesitated. "I'll see what I can do." As she walked out, my phone vibrated again. A message from my sister. "Can't wait for you to see my wedding. Everything finally came together. Love you, Red Heart." I almost threw the phone across the room. Instead, I opened the property transfer documents my father had emailed. At first, they looked official. Then one tiny detail made my heart stop. The signature on the final page wasn't even my handwriting. I stared at the signature until the letters blurred together. Whoever had signed my name hadn't even bothered to copy my handwriting. The capital E looked wrong. The final stroke on my last name curved upward instead of down. It was an obvious fake. I spent years signing mortgage documents, tax returns, and banking paperwork. I knew every detail of my own signature. Someone had forged it, and somehow, they believed they'd never be caught. An hour later, the hospital administrator, Karen Mills, walked into my room carrying a folder. "I understand you requested visitor records." I did. She sat beside my bed. "Our system shows your parents checked in 45 minutes before your surgery began." My stomach tightened. "They actually came here?" She nodded. "They told the front desk they needed you to sign some insurance documents before the operation." I never signed anything. Karen exchanged a troubled glance with the hospital's legal coordinator standing beside her. "That's what concerns us." She opened another page. "The security cameras show paperwork changing hands outside the pre-op room, but hospital policy doesn't allow staff to witness private legal documents. So no one knows what they signed." Not officially. My attorney would. As soon as Karen left, I called the first real estate attorney recommended by my accountant. His name was Daniel Brooks. After listening quietly for nearly 15 minutes, he asked only one question. "Emily, do you still have every email and voicemail your father sent?" "Yes." "Good." His voice became noticeably calmer. "Don't delete a single thing. What if they've already sold it? They may have transferred the property." He paused. "But that doesn't necessarily mean they own the legal right to transfer it." For the first time since waking up, I felt something other than panic. Hope. Daniel requested copies of every document before ending the call. By that evening, he called back. "Emily." His tone had changed completely. "This gets worse." I braced myself. The closing documents include a notarized signature. "So, the notary claims you personally appeared before them." My heart pounded. I was unconscious. "I know." Silence hung between us. Then he said the words that changed everything. "If that's true, we're no longer talking about a family dispute. We're talking about potential criminal fraud." The next morning, Daniel's investigator uncovered where the money had gone. Nearly every dollar had already been spent or committed. A luxury ballroom downtown, a designer wedding dress, custom floral arrangements, a live orchestra, 5-star catering, a 2-week honeymoon in Italy. Every deposit traced directly back to the proceeds from my condo. I stared at the spreadsheet in disbelief. My home hadn't just funded a wedding. It had paid for a fantasy. Then another discovery landed even harder. My sister wasn't an innocent bystander. Daniel forwarded me screenshots from a group email. My father had written, "Emily doesn't know yet, but once everything is paid for, she'll calm down. Don't mention the condo until after her surgery." My sister had replied only minutes later. "Perfect. She always forgives us anyway." I couldn't breathe. They'd planned this. Not for days. For weeks. Maybe months. By that afternoon, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. An aunt told me not to embarrass the family. A cousin said I was overreacting. Even my mother called, crying, "Please don't ruin your sister's wedding." I listened without interrupting. When she finally stopped talking, I answered quietly, "I'm not ruining anything." Then I hung up. No more arguments. No more pleading. No more explaining. I forwarded every voicemail, every text, every email, every financial record to Daniel. Late that evening, he called once more. For the first time, I heard confidence in his voice. "Emily." "Yes. I've organized everything into a timeline." And he chuckled softly. "Tomorrow morning." He paused just long enough to make my pulse race. "Your parents are going to realize that what they thought was a real estate transaction has just become evidence." The next morning, I wasn't in a courtroom. I was still lying in a hospital bed. But while I was learning how to stand again, My attorney was making sure my family couldn't run another step. At 8:15 a.m., Daniel called. They've been served. My father, my mother, the title company, the notary. Every party connected to the transaction received legal notice before breakfast. An emergency court order immediately froze the remaining proceeds from the sale while the property transfer was challenged. Less than an hour later, another call came, this time from my sister. Emily, what did you do? I hired an attorney. You froze everything. I protected what was mine. You've destroyed my wedding. I closed my eyes. No. They're canceling the venue. The florist won't deliver. The honeymoon agency says our payment is under investigation. I took a slow breath. I didn't cancel your wedding. You did when you stole my home. She burst into tears. I thought Mom and Dad had your permission. I almost believed her. Then I remembered the email. She always forgives us anyway. You knew exactly where the money came from. Silence. That was my answer. Over the next several weeks, investigators interviewed everyone involved. Hospital visitor records, phone logs, security footage, bank transfers, email chains. Every piece fit together. The forged signature, the false statements made to the notary, the money trail leading directly into wedding expenses. Nothing matched my parents' story. When the investigation concluded, the property transfer was officially challenged through the courts because it had been executed without my lawful authorization. The remaining funds stayed frozen while the legal process moved forward. Without access to the money, my parents couldn't finish paying vendors. One by one, the luxury wedding disappeared. The ballroom canceled. The orchestra withdrew. The designer boutique reclaimed the custom dress. Even the honeymoon reservations vanished. Not because I wanted revenge, because none of it had been paid for with money they legally controlled. Months later, I finally walked without a cane. The physical pain faded much faster than the betrayal. The legal case eventually ended with a settlement that restored my financial position after the disputed transaction was resolved. It wasn't about becoming wealthy. It was about reclaiming the future I'd spent 12 years building. I bought another condo, smaller than the first one, but every document carried only one signature. Mine. My parents tried calling, then texting, then writing letters. Every message sounded the same. We're still family, maybe by blood, not by trust. One afternoon, my mother waited outside my physical therapy clinic. She looked older than I remembered. I know we hurt you, she whispered. Can you ever forgive us? I looked at the woman who had kissed my forehead before every school exam, who had once promised she'd always protect me. I hope one day I stop carrying the pain. She nodded hopefully, but forgiveness doesn't mean pretending it never happened. Tears rolled down her face. I walked away, slowly, confidently, on my own. A year later, I stood on the balcony of my new home, watching the sunset paint the sky orange over the city. The scar on my back reminded me of the surgery that changed my body. The silence in my phone reminded me of the betrayal that changed my life. People sometimes ask whether losing my condo was the hardest part. It wasn't. The hardest part was waking up and realizing the people I trusted most had already decided my future while I couldn't even open my eyes. They believed being unconscious meant I had no voice. They forgot something important. Eventually, I was always going to wake up. And when I did, the truth spoke louder than they ever could.